says on page 14 that Christianity is not the conclusion of a philosophical debate on the origins of the universe. It is a catastrophic historical event following on the long spiritual preparation of humanity, which I have described. It is not a system into which we have to fit the awkward fact of pain. It is itself one of the awkward facts which have to be fitted into any system we make. In a sense, it creates rather than solves a problem of pain, for pain would be no problem unless side by side with our daily experience of this painful world, we had received what we think a good assurance that ultimate reality is righteous and loving. So then he goes on in page 16, this is the problem of pain. If God were good, he would wish to make his creatures perfectly happy, and if God were almighty, he would be able to do what he wished. But the creatures are not happy, therefore God lacks either goodness or power or both. This is the problem of pain in its simplest form. He goes on to talk about omnipotence and how omnipotence is not God doing the impossible, he's doing the intrinsically possible, and how nonsense is still nonsense when we talk about God type of thing. We can't try to come up and conceive with, oh, well, if God did this, if God did that, then this would happen. We don't know that because we aren't God and we don't know the full picture. We don't know everything that's going on, the full plan of God, right? We can't say if God did this or God did that, then this would happen, because that hasn't happened in reality. Not even omnipotence could create a society of free souls without the same time creating a relatively independent and inexorable nature. He's basically explaining that to create a society of free souls, at the same time, there has to be independence and there has to be free will involved. Because the free souls have to be free, right? They can't be like robots and controlled. So literally omnipotence cannot do two opposite things happening at the same time. Like when people ask, well, can God create a squared circle or whatever? I can't remember the exact they basically try to argue that like, okay, if God can't do this, then he must not be powerful. When it's just like trying to take two opposite and conflicting ideas and trying to hold them at the same time. It's something that's like literally impossible, and it's just trying to test God basically at that point, which is not right. And so he talks about how like God is so loving that he's willing to give us choice, and that it's a love that we could never really be able to understand or conceive on our own. It's a deep, deep love that we can't ever reciprocate because we're so fallen and corrupted, but like we have to believe like God is so loving that he gave us that choice. And then he says again, the freedom of a creature must mean freedom to choose, and choice implies the existence of things to choose between. So not only did God give us choice, but he gave us things to choose between. He could have just created us and then him, but we wouldn't have had anything to choose between, like different religions